In this video we discuss how we do our experimentation with our strain gauges. So I'll assume you've already soldered and connected your strain gauge board, which is on the base of our Arduino board, and watched the other video and mounted your strain gauge on our ruler already. So the way we actually perform our measurements is, firstly we need some supports, and in this case our supports are two blocks of aluminium extrusion. So the aluminium extrusion is being created so that it's precisely 30 millimeters tall and wide, and it's got channels that have been cut into it. The channels we don't really care about very much, but we're going to be using the fact that it's 30 millimeters in height for all our calculations. So we use some clamps to clamp it to the table at a known distance apart, somewhere between 20 and 30 centimeters. In this case I've done 25 centimeters. When we're doing our experiments, we'll be positioning the strain gauge in the middle of our aluminium extrusion. So based on the 25 centimeter distance, it's pretty easy to precisely line up the strain gauge in the middle using the guides on the ruler. Now we connect that up to our Arduino module, obviously. We'll just plug that one in. And we're going to be adding weights to the strain gauge and performing measurements. So we add weights right in the center, we take care not to short out the connections that we have there, and we're only adding a few weights. We don't want to put too much weight on this ruler and cause the ruler to deform in a way that it won't spring back to its original location before. So we'll only add 200 grams at the most. Now when we're doing our measurements, we're going to be using some calipers. So some calipers, if you haven't used them before, allow us to measure a few things. They allow us to measure distance, the thickness of an object. They allow us to measure inside an object or in between 2 points, for example in here. And they also allow us to measure the height of an object quite effectively at the base here. So when we're measuring the thickness of the ruler, we can simply use them like this and work out our thickness. When we're measuring the width of the ruler, we can measure it here and measure our width quite easily. When we're measuring the height of the ruler, we can measure it this way. So we line it up so that the base of the ruler is precisely lined up with our calipers, and it's pretty close to 30 millimeters. As we add weights to it, we want to perform our measurements right in the middle still, and we'll see that that distance will change by a small amount each time we add our weights on. So we want to be able to characterize that using our calipers. And that's what we'll be using to measure our deflection. For one of the experiments, you're creating a uniform load, and for that one, rather than stacking all of the weights up right in the middle, what we want to do is stack them across the beam. So we might put one there and one there, put one there and one there, creating a uniform load across the beam, or at least a near uniform load across the beam, rather than stacking them all in one location. Okay, that should get you started on your experimentation. My suggestion is to put it into a spreadsheet like Microsoft Excel and use that to calculate everything.